Okay, so let's dive right in. We're looking at something today that's, well, it's pretty much everywhere online, even when you don't actually see it. You know, this invisible force that's really reshaping our digital world. And yeah, we're talking AI, but it's way beyond just the chatbots you might have messed with.
Exactly. That's what the sources we looked at really dig into. They frame AI less like a tool you actively pick up and use, and more like this invisible architect.
The architects, yeah, I like that, building things behind the scenes.
Right, constantly building, refining the digital spaces we all live in now. The sources call it the algorithmic age.
And that feels like the perfect goal for this deep dive then. We want to sort of pull back the curtain, understand where this invisible architect is actually doing its work, see those hidden systems, and maybe most importantly, figure out what it all means for you. Think of it like cutting through the noise, getting informed quickly, finding those aha moments about the tech that's shaping your world right now.
It really is a profound shift. I mean, the core idea running through all this material is that AI has become this pervasive foundational layer. It just underpins our whole digital experience now. You interact with it dozens, maybe hundreds of times a day without a second thought.
So it's not science fiction anymore.
Yeah.
It's the bedrock. It's changing how information gets processed, how decisions are made online. This invisible architect, it isn't just like speeding things up a bit. It's changing the actual structure of our online reality.
Absolutely. So the big question is, where does this invisible AI actually live? Because it's hiding in plain sight, really, in systems we rely on constantly.
Okay, so give us some examples from the source material. Where are we bumping into this hidden AI every day?
Well, probably one of the most obvious, once you start thinking about it, is recommendation engines. You know, every time you're scrolling through Netflix or Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, that's AI working away. It's constantly analyzing what you've done, what you watched, listened to, bought, clicked on, and comparing it to patterns from millions, literally millions of other users, all to guess what you'll want next.
Right. It's like having this super efficient, personalized digital butler, always there with a suggestion, often keeping you watching or listening or buying.
Exactly. Keeping you hooked is often the goal, yeah. Then you've got the digital gatekeepers. Think about your email spam filter, or the cybersecurity systems protecting you from online threats. These are basically vigilant AI guardians. They learn from these massive data sets to spot and block malicious patterns, phishing attempts, stuff like that, before you even see it.
Yeah, my inbox would be a nightmare without that. Total disaster.
Honestly, everyone's would.
Okay, but what about search? I mean, I type something in, I get results. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Still feels like I'm doing the work.
It feels that way, but it's way more sophisticated under the hood now. When you use the big search giants like Google, their advanced AI algorithms, they're not just matching keywords anymore, not for a long time. They use things like natural language processing, NLP. They're figuring out the intent behind your query, what you actually mean.
Ah, okay.
That's why you can type in a messy, fragmented question or use natural language, and somehow it often gives you surprisingly relevant results. It understands context better.
Okay, so search is basically trying to read my mind now.
Got it.
And social media. That's another huge way we get information, or maybe misinformation sometimes.
Absolutely. And social media curators rely incredibly heavily on algorithms, what pops up in your feed. It's definitely not just a simple timeline of posts. No, it's this complex calculation based on what you've liked, shared, commented on, who you interact with, how popular a post is, all sorts of signals.
And the sources mention the downside of that.
Yeah, they point out how this intense focus on engagement keeping you on the platform can lead straight into filter bubbles.
Where you mostly see stuff you already agree with.
Exactly. It reinforces your existing views because that's what gets engagement, limits exposure to different perspectives.
That's a really crucial point. The architect isn't neutral, it's shaping our information diet. Okay, what about smart assistants? Like Alexa or Siri. We actually talk to those.
Right, they're more visible, obviously. But the AI behind smart assistants is still pretty remarkable and often underestimated. They use advanced NLP to understand spoken commands, even with different accents, or if you stumble over your words. And they're integrating all these different services, controlling smart home devices, constantly getting better at grasping context and handling more complex requests.
Okay. And you mentioned cars. The sources touched on self-driving cars' vision.
Yeah, briefly. Even if fully autonomous cars aren't quite mainstream for everyone yet, the AI systems enabling them are definitely here. They use computer vision analyzing constant feeds from cameras, LiDAR, radar, to understand the car's environment in real time. identifying pedestrians, other cars, lanes, predicting movement, all to navigate safely. It's incredibly complex processing.
So, wow, from predicting our email to picking our music to helping cars see, this invisible AI is doing critical work absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
So with AI being this pervasive, what are the bigger implications? The sources talked about the power and the pondering, right?
Yeah, and there are definitely huge benefits. This pervasive AI drives incredible efficiency. Think about automating routine tasks, optimizing logistics, managing energy grids, things like that. It allows for deep personalization, tailoring everything from, your news feed to potentially educational content or even healthcare.
Yeah.
It fuels discovery, helping us find new music, books, products, information we might genuinely value but wouldn't have found otherwise. And it's a really powerful tool for problem solving, accelerating scientific research, improving medical diagnostics, tackling huge global challenges like climate change or disease modeling.
Those are definitely significant upsides.
Yeah.
Hard to argue with those. But the pondering part, the material also makes us stop and think about some serious questions, some challenges that come with all this power.
Absolutely. A major one the sources really emphasize is bias. This is critical. Since AI learns from data, and that data often reflects existing societal biases. Think historical inequalities in hiring or lending or even policing. Well, the AI can unintentionally learn, perpetuate, and sometimes even amplify those biases in its own decisions.
Right. So if the data it learns from is skewed, the AI's decisions might be skewed too.
Yeah,
That's concerning.
It's a huge ethical challenge. And then there's privacy. All that personalization we like, it relies on collecting enormous amounts of data about us, our clicks, our searches, our location, everything. So understanding what data is being collected, how it's being used, who controls it, that becomes really, really important. Are we comfortable with the trade-off?
And the elephant in the room for many people? Job displacement.
Yes, the material definitely addresses that. As AI gets better at automating tasks, especially routine cognitive or manual tasks, it will impact employment. That seems unavoidable. But the sources also suggest it's less about mass unemployment and more about a shift in the kinds of skills that are valuable, focusing on things AI can't easily do.
Like creativity, strategic thinking.
Exactly. And empathy, complex communication. Plus, there's the black box problem, which relates to understanding and control.
Meaning we don't always know why the AI made a certain decision.
Precisely. With very complex deep learning models, sometimes even the creators can't pinpoint the exact reasoning behind a specific output. This lack of transparency, this opacity, raises serious questions about accountability, especially when AI is used in high-stakes areas like medical diagnosis or loan applications. Who's responsible if it gets it wrong?
Okay, so we've got this hidden architecture. We see the immense power, but also these really significant challenges and questions to wrestle with. Now, let's connect this all directly to you, the listener, especially if you're, say, around 18, just finishing school, heading into college or work. The sources describe this time as living fully in the algorithmic age.
Yeah, they really stress that this isn't just some tech trend you can choose to engage with or not. It's fundamental. It's the underlying reality that's going to shape your education, your future career options, your daily life in really profound ways. It's the landscape you're stepping into.
And why is all this happening with such incredible speed, like right now? What brought us to this point?
The material points to a kind of perfect storm, a convergence of key factors. First, just the explosion of big data. We generate unbelievable amounts of data now, and that's the raw fuel AI needs to learn effectively.
Right, more data, better learning.
That's exactly. Second, massive leaps in computational power. Processors, GPUs, specialized AI chips, plus the scalability of cloud computing. It just makes running these incredibly complex AI models feasible in a way it wasn't before.
Okay. Data and power.
And third, crucial algorithmic advancements. Breakthroughs in machine learning techniques, especially deep learning, have allowed AI to learn and perform tasks like image recognition or language translation at levels that were basically science fiction just a decade or two ago. And these advancements show up in the key AI capabilities the sources mention. Things like different flavors of machine learning. You've got supervised learning, where you feed it labeled examples. Unsupervised, where it has to find patterns on its own. Reinforcement learning, where it learns by trial and error, like game-playing AI.
And things like understanding language.
Right. Natural language processing, NLP, that's huge.
Yeah.
And computer vision, which is letting AI interpret images and videos. And, of course, robotics, the physical side of AI.
And these capabilities aren't just theoretical. They're transforming almost every industry you can think of. The sources listed quite a few specific examples.
Oh, definitely. In healthcare, for instance, AI is helping doctors diagnose diseases more accurately by analyzing scans like X-rays or MRIs. It's speeding up the incredibly slow process of drug discovery. It's enabling personalized treatment plans based on your specific genetic makeup or health data, even supporting remote patient monitoring through wearables.
That's huge. What about getting around?
Transportation is using AI for things like optimizing traffic flow in cities, managing complex global logistics for shipping companies, and even predictive maintenance on planes or trains to fix parts before they fail.
Makes sense. And finance. Seems like a natural fit.
Absolutely. Finance relies heavily on AI, detecting fraudulent credit card transactions in milliseconds, predicting stock market fluctuations, powering those super fast algorithmic trading systems.
Okay. And education. You mentioned personalized learning.
Yeah, in education, AI tools have the potential to create learning paths tailored to each student's pace and learning style. They can provide instant feedback on quizzes or essays, and potentially help democratize access to quality educational resources globally. But the sources are also careful here.
To say what?
To emphasize that AI is a tool in education, human teachers are still absolutely crucial for fostering critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, social-emotional skills, things AI doesn't teach.
That's a really important distinction. Okay, what else? Entertainment.
Entertainment and media, we already talked about recommenders, but AI is also starting to assist in content creation itself, suggesting script ideas, generating background music, helping with visual effects.
Manufacturing.
Yeah.
I assume robots.
Yes, manufacturing sees huge benefits. AI-powered robotics for complex assembly tasks, AI vision systems for quality control checks that are more consistent than human eyes, optimizing entire production lines for efficiency.
Even farming.
Even agriculture. It's called precision agriculture, using AI to analyze data from sensors, drones, satellites, to understand soil conditions, monitor crop health precisely, use water and fertilizer more efficiently, and predict harvest yields much more accurately.
Wow, okay. It really is integrating into the fabric of basically everything.
Yeah.
So let's make this personal revolution, as you called it, really concrete. How does this algorithmic age specifically hit home for someone thinking about their future education and career?
Well, the sources make it clear that education and learning itself is changing. Those AI tools we mentioned, they can be powerful assistants for your learning. Imagine personalized tutoring available 24/7, instant feedback helping you understand where you went wrong, access to information tailored just for you. Knowledge could become more accessible than ever before.
But that also changes what skills are most important to develop, right? It's not just about memorizing facts if an AI can recall them instantly.
Exactly. The sources really hammer this point. The premium shifts. It moves towards critical thinking, analyzing information, questioning assumptions, towards creative problem solving, tackling novel challenges, towards adaptability, being able to learn quickly as things change, and definitely towards essential digital literacy, which isn't just knowing how to use tech, but understanding how these systems work, their limitations, and crucially, the ethics involve things like data privacy, algorithmic bias.
So thinking about your future career, the job market picture is, well, it's complicated, but interesting.
It is. While AI will automate some routine tasks, let's be honest about that the materials strongly suggest it's also augmenting human capabilities. And it's creating entirely new jobs.
Like what? What kind of new roles?
The sources give examples like AI engineers, obviously, data scientists, AI ethicists, people specifically focused on the fairness and impact of AI, even roles like prompt engineers who specialize in crafting the instructions to get the best results out of AI models.
Interesting. But the sources also highlighted the value of human skills.
Yes, absolutely crucial. They stress the skyrocketing value of skills that AI, at least currently, really struggles with. Things like emotional intelligence, understanding and managing emotions, empathy, pure creativity, original ideas, artistic expression, complex communication negotiation, nuanced persuasion, storytelling, and high-level strategic thinking.
So the bottom line is, learning to work effectively alongside AI systems is going to be key, pretty much regardless what field you go into.
That seems to be the core message. It's about collaboration, not just competition.
Okay, so beyond work and school, how does this shape our daily life in the algorithmic echo chamber? That phrase sounds a bit ominous.
Well, it points to the everyday impact. You're constantly getting those personalized experiences, right? Shopping sites showing you things you might like, news feeds tailored to your interests.
Yeah, sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's a bit creepy.
Exactly. But the sources really focus on the potential downsides of that information filtering, how algorithms optimizing for engagement can unintentionally limit your exposure. You end up in those filter bubbles or echo chambers where you mainly see content that confirms what you already believe, and dissenting or different viewpoints get filtered out, which isn't great for understanding the world or for healthy public discourse.
Definitely something to be aware of.
Yeah,
And underlying it all, those privacy concerns again.
always. Because personalization requires data, lots of it. Who owns your data? How is it being used? Are you okay with that? These are ongoing questions.
And the ethical side seems huge here, too.
Immense. The material raises key ethical considerations. Who's responsible when an AI makes a mistake, maybe denies someone a loan unfairly or misdiagnoses a condition? How do we ensure fairness? How do we prevent discrimination when algorithms are making decisions that significantly impact people's lives, jobs, loans, even justice? These aren't just abstract philosophical problems anymore. They're real challenges your generation is facing and will need to help solve.
So, given all this powerful, pervasive, sometimes problematic technology, how do you actually navigate this world? The sources offered a kind of toolkit, didn't they? Some concrete steps.
They did. Practical advice, first and foremost. Embrace continuous learning. Things are changing fast. Adaptability, the willingness to learn new skills throughout your life is absolutely crucial.
Makes sense. What else?
Develop your human skills. Lean into those unique strengths, creativity, critical thinking, empathy, communication that differentiate you from AI. Those become your superpowers in a way.
They get smarter about AI itself.
Definitely. Become AI literate. This doesn't mean you have to become a coder or an AI researcher unless you want to, but have a basic understanding of how AI works. What are its capabilities? What are its limitations? What are the ethical issues? Just being an informed user and citizen.
And be skeptical online.
Yes. Practice digital discernment. Question the information you see. Be aware of how algorithms might be shaping your perspective. Don't just passively consume. Think critically.
Good advice in general, really.
It really is. Also, be a problem solver. Think about how you can use AI tools constructively to help tackle challenges in your own life, your community, or your work.
And don't be afraid to speak up about the ethics.
Please do. Engage in the ethical dialogue. The rules for AI are being written right now. Your generation's perspective is vital in shaping how this technology is developed and deployed responsibly.
Final piece of advice from the sources.
Explore interdisciplinary fields. Some of the most interesting opportunities and challenges lie at the intersections combining arts with tech or social sciences with data analysis. Don't feel like you have to choose just one lane. Combine your passions with an understanding of AI.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, this deep dive into the sources really paints a picture of AI as this incredibly powerful, often invisible force. It's not just changing technology, it's fundamentally reshaping our digital reality, our society.
Yeah, it's way more than just a collection of cool tools. It's becoming a foundational element, like electricity or the internet itself, woven into the fabric of the modern world.
And understanding this, getting a handle on it, isn't just about being tech savvy. It feels essential for being an informed citizen, for navigating the future, both the opportunities and the challenges.
Absolutely. And maybe here's a final thought, something to chew on from the material as you go about your day, interacting with all these systems. The future isn't just about using AI or even just reacting to the changes it brings. It's about realizing that AI is actively building the architecture of your digital world. The recommendations you get, the news you read, the search results you find, maybe even the job opportunities you see. AI is involved in structuring all of that. And really understanding that structure, understanding how that fabric is being woven, that's the crucial first step towards being able to actively, thoughtfully help shape it for the better.